Father do. Look what the world I come to help we Lord. We go through the struggle for the place. Run come help we out now. Cause we have to survive some way, somehow help we Lord. We go through this struggle. Too much negativity, I'm gonna make trouble.
Leave people business alone. Leave people business and mind your own. Leave people business alone. Leave people business and mind your own. You in my way, like a rolling stone, like stick and stone, cannot break your bone. But David killed Goliath with a sling and a stone. Samson killed the Philistine with a donkey jawbone. So leave people business alone. Leave people business and mind your own. Leave people business alone. I look in my eyes. What do you see? There's no doubt the message is clear. How many love so helplessly? Girl, forever I want you near. There's been times that I realize how strongly I feel for you. You're the best that I've ever known, and I wanna tell you so you know it. In every way I show it, I'll prove this to you. Starting tonight, leave people business alone. Leave people business and mind your own. Leave people business alone. Leave people business and mind your own. You in my way, like a rolling stone, like stick and stone, cannot break your bone. But David killed Goliath with a sling and a stone. Samson killed the Philistine with a donkey jawbone. So leave people business alone. Leave people business and mind your own. Leave people business alone. I look in my eyes. What do you see? There's no doubt the message is clear. How many love so helplessly? Girl, forever I want you near. There's been times that I realize how strongly I feel for you. You're the best that I've ever known, and I wanna tell you so you know it. In every way I show it, I'll prove this to you. Starting tonight, I wanna prove my love, yeah. I'll take my time. You see, you haven't known your question.
Yes, indeed, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, of course. This is in the corridor of transformation. And remember, of course, we must mind our own business. Yes, indeed.
Did stand no the next one with plastic rock pop to the next one where she stay pop me ever girl ball my yo shut up I make the young girl them stop pop so when me check it out what cause the fuss girl them a fuss me say over whole block some girl a fight for whole block some girl out the road a fight for whole block fight for whole block some girl out the road.
I was a fool for you, a fool for you. I was a fool for you, I was a fool for you. I
Thought you'd have called me, baby, just to see you'd be late again. I thought you would care about me, said you were my best friend. Maybe you think I can't live without you. Maybe that's why you treat me so wrong. I'm not obligated to you. I don't want it this way. Don't be staring through those brown eyes. You must have seen that this was coming. When I tried to talk to you, you turned away. You say you wanna dance. You don't ever want to argue. You wanna love the night away. Girl, I won't stay. You say you wanna dance. You don't wanna talk it over. You wanna love the night away. Girl, I won't stay. It's not that I don't really love you. Girl, I just don't love your style. All this time you've been playing with my mind. Now you're running out of time. Maybe my love means nothing to you. Maybe you see through the...
Yes, indeed, of course, this government has betrayed, have deceived, have, of course, done all kinds of what I consider to be undemocratic as well as unpatriotic acts, as they, of course, perpetrate with a collection of kleptocrats and persons who are incompetent, are almost illegitimate, but I will be, of course, taking it too far. Not that it must not be said.
Another game that you can play. No, I don't wanna play this game with you. No, no, no. Oh, yeah. Fun and games won't mean the same to you. Oh, when it's said and done, there'll be no love to keep you warm. You'll come crying back to me again. 'Cause when it's said and done, get someone else to keep you warm. You wanna dance. You don't ever want to argue. You wanna love the night away. But girl, I won't stay. Say you wanna dance. You don't wanna talk it over. You wanna love the night away. Girl, I won't stay. I don't wanna be a fool for you. No, no.
Yes, indeed, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. It is yesterday.
Premiere.
You know what, of course. But let me get rid of that music in the background. Yes, indeed, of course, it is the Monday night edition of the corridor transformation. And I know that, of course, you have some alternatives, or not some, but one alternative, and that is to maybe vacillate between the corridor transformation and that of the Monday night forum of the UNC. I have no difficulty in that. I will not, of course, feel that I have lost anything. But of course, it demonstrates a consistency, not of course, with respect, of course, to persons who have poor choices, but certainly you would have made the best choice in terms of, in other words, we have nothing to lose. Whether you are switched on, of course, to the UNC forum or to the corridor transformation. That being as it may, of course, I think we need to get into, of course, what we missed last night, as I promised, and therefore, of course, what Rowley had to say. I was minded, of course, to say something tonight where, of course, Rowley seemed to, or should I say reinforce Rowley's, of course, total insanity and lunatic nature at this point in time. The man is so damn desperate that he can't tell A from bullfoot. You know what I say Rowley is so damn desperate now. And those who would have been following him, as of course headless chicken, as my mother would say, they are now having extreme difficulty in terms, of course, accepting or indeed following Rowley and the nonsense that he has been engaged in since, of course, 2015, when, of course, he brought to those false or fake pieces of paper that everybody know. They too, all of the ministers know, all of the PNM knows, and yet still following that man to hell with a gasoline-soaked paper bag. I tell you me, that level of betrayal, that level of Judasism, Judas to the country, paved, of course, for them in 30 pieces of silver. That is bizarre, unacceptable, and therefore, at the end of the day, all of them must pay the price. All of them must pay the price. But I promised you yesterday on the question of crime and criminality and the fact that this government is at a loss as to what is to be done in order to address the problem of crime and criminality. I want, of course, to tell you from a past scenario, but nonetheless, suggesting that Rowley's prediction, just as Patterson, I'm going to bring that tomorrow. I was trying to get it before I came in. That is why I was a bit tardy. But the fact of the matter is that, of course, they acknowledge the fact that they saw in others then that which was in fact in them. Let's go straight, of course, to the line. Let's go straight, of course, to our external correspondents, Ms. Santa Cruz. A pleasant good night to you. Welcome.
A pleasant good night to you, Lennox. First things first, are you hearing me properly?
Loud and clear, my dear.
Right, most important, Lennox.
Yes.
First, I want to pay my respects to the family of Hazel Karim.
Yes, indeed.
Lennox, he was one of the nicest person that I ever met. I met him when we went to protest to open the Coover Children's Hospital.
Oh,
and when he found out who I was so elated, and he started, and people look, Mr. Santa Cruz here, come and talk to her. He said, how long these ladies waiting for you? Lennox, you know how I felt? I felt so happy, I felt so nice. And then I remember him almost every morning. That man would call the ground report, inviting the young men and them get off the corners, come join the welding program, join the aviation school, from cutting cane to flying plane. You know, always inviting them to come and do something. And when they opened up this program to certify people who had skills,
yeah,
you know,
already,
he
had skills, yes.
Yeah, so that they will get better paying jobs.
That's
right. Lennox, all these things that this man did under the tertiary education program, and look at how they did just discard this government, that government, everything they got rid of, Lennox, and then they want to say Kamala did nothing for the African people. That is why I sent you that Photoshop thing this morning. When all you feel that we just listening to ground report, even your chat, we have to be fighting of these ignoramus and them, Lennox. Say that Kamala never did anything for the African people. Kamala did more for the African people than the African government. All you have sitting down here.
And they have not realized that what Rowley did was a knee-jerk response to a intractable problem that will hasten the exacerbation of it by that $100 million. Wait and see. We've been there.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm giving my expert and personal experience in matters of these. Rowley, let me know one thing, but go ahead, my friend. Sorry about that.
And Lennox, look at how when they open the pool in Laventille, they have to get the soldiers to guard it. They have to get the soldiers to guard it. Wasn't Rowley who told the children they're getting on like hyenas in the African jungle?
Of course.
Wasn't it Rowley who said that people are selling their monsters to school?
That's right.
Wasn't it Rowley who said that that put down the guns, calling on the African youth, tell them to put down the guns? I remember when he went to a meeting in Plot before he became Prime Minister. He told the people that he had a graduation in Tobago with I think it was only one young man was among 40-something women. And he turned and he asked the ladies and them, where are they getting only a man from? Because these young African men have problems from the schoolroom to the boardroom. And they want to come and say Kamala didn't do anything for the African male. I don't know why these hypocrites and them continue to be like that. But I must say, and I want to tell him his spiritual journey has begun. And I pray that his peace and eternal rest will be his blessed assurance.
Yes, indeed.
And, you know, he was really, really a nice person.
Oh,
He
yes,
will
oh,
be
yes.
missed. He will be missed. Now, let's move on to the real politics.
Yes.
I want to tell that hypocrite that they call Archbishop Jason Gordon. You're tired preaching like Christine Kangaloo, the gospel of the PNM from on the Catholic pulpit. You're vexed or you talk about corruption and this and that and the other. All you caused that. All you did it because you didn't like the Hindu government. All you prefer the Obeah man. Right? All you prefer the Obeah man and his government. That is why today you have to stand up on a pulpit and talk about the corruption and the killing and thing in this country. You remember only, maybe it was about 2 weeks ago, I told you why the churches and them only talking about it behind closed doors at funerals. Why? Well, he finally come out and he talked something, but it is too little, too late. Because when that election bell ring, all is still going to chant the gospel of the PNM. Lennox, do you know? I don't know if you're aware of it. But the gentleman that got killed in a room, I think some Rampasad or something businessman, where his dogs got killed,
Yes.
and he was killed.
They poisoned the dogs, yes.
Do you know that is Mala Dukaran's husband? The same Mala Dukaran. You remember Mala Dukaran, who was signing a petition to get rid of Kamala?
Yes,
And
yes.
she said, when we get rid of Kamala, we'll eventually get rid of the UNC. Under who watch your husband get killed? Eh, madam?
Well,
You
I'm sure
run to
I'm sure
Barbados.
she's having some second thoughts now, some deep
Right.
introspection. Yes.
Because in 2018, there was there was a home invasion as well. And she fled to Barbados. She fled to Barbados. They're living in Barbados, right? Under whose watch your husband get killed? But I hear you signing no petition for Rowley and Hines to go. No. Because all of you in love with Rowley and Hines. Because they're doing so good. Lennox, you must play the driver driving good. The country running smooth by Luther. You must play that song for them.
I will.
Because the country running smooth under Rowley and thing. And you know, Rowley always talking about he have papers on this one and he have papers on that one. But he forget how much you have on him. He forget how much you have on him. That's why every night you have to remind him how many papers you have on Rowley.
That's right.
Lennox,
That's right.
I think I discovered something since after Rowley was getting on like a rotten gut lunatic. I discovered who touched his soul. It was Johnny Abraham.
Oh,
Because I never see a man so ruffled by Johnny Abraham.
Yeah. Well. Of course, I had to add Manning too, because of course he had a prayer session for the Baptist holiday. I said somebody touched him, and I said Manning slapped him.
Well, Manning slapped him, and Johnny Abraham touched him.
I touched him.
Yes, so he get a double whiplash.
A double whammy.
He get a double whip. He get a
yes,
double
yes.
Lennox.
Whiplash.
But Lennox, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. You see, tonight I'm going to address UNC people.
Yes.
All it is only come here and talk about less talk and more this, more that, and the other. When time to come out, all they coming out? All they coming out? UNC people are too complacent, right? I was talking to somebody who had a political district for election, and they're telling me by 2 o'clock on election day, all the PNM people in their area vote already, but not UNC people. Lennox, they can say, what? Yeah, This is something all should take a page out of PNM people book for. PNM people going out, PNMites going out in their deathbed, they walk in their wheelchair, whatever, their drips they going to vote, but not UNC people. They always have some excuse, some stupid excuses. Okay, we will go later. When you go for them later, I ain't feel to go, And then after they want to come and cuss Kamala. Then they want to come and cuss Kamala. Are you hearing me, Lennox?
Yeah, loud and clear. You go ahead. Loud and clear.
Yeah,
Loud and clear.
yeah.
Somebody else
And
is trying to
then
get
they want to come and cuss Kamala when we lose. But Kamala only have one vote like the rest of us. And if all you don't make up all this mind seriously, that all you fed up and rowdy in this country, all you take what you get in. Take what it is all you get in. Right? Because unless we make a strong stand against Rowley and move that man, we are going to face another 5 years with him. Is that what all you want? But then all you're not serious. Lennox, thanks a lot for listening to my 2 cents and have a good night.
Yes, indeed, of course, and we also always appreciate, of course, your intervention. Always, should I say, contributing, of course, to the elaboration of what may be on the table and contributing something new all entirely that may not have been on the table at all. So we really appreciate that. And of course, Faisal Karim, hear from the corridor transformation, and of course tomorrow I will express it on the ground report. Our condolences go to the bereaved family, who of course are in a state of mourning at this point in time. A very good fellow, but of course I'll give some more information on the ground report. I don't think here is the place for that, because he really did contribute to the ground report. But I want to add to what the external correspondent Ms. Santa Cruz has said, in that as far as the African youths are concerned, you had to be blind. And there is a saying that there is none as blind as he or she who refuses to see, especially and when they have 20/20 vision. Because the first gesture of Dr. Rowley, when he came into government, he went up to Laventille. You can't be more black than Laventille and say, "Wean off the damn government." He told them that in all certain terms, and of course was supported by Smith afterwards in his capacity as Minister of Finance. So I will not be too enthused or in any way perturbed about the illusion of those persons who want to, of course, defy reality and try, of course, to defend the indefensible. Let's go to the line that I have in my hand. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Yes, good night. Hey, how are you going, man?
Right. Lennox, let me tell you, according to Mr. Santa Cruz.
Yeah, talk a little louder, because I have you through my mic. If you call through the normal system, I will get you better. But go ahead.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Right. The hypocrisy with Keith Rowley and them, and they want to show that they're doing things to appease the black people, the young African brothers. And you know, Faisal Karim was the man who designed so much programs to bring these brothers and them out of the crime situation, you know, and at Santa Cruz elaborate on some of them, I think, you know.
Yes.
And Keith Rowley and them, they dismantled everything. They did absolutely nothing to help the little black boy, put it this way, right? And then want to blame everything, the opposition for the crime situation, where they wanted to implement something with this assistance of a little black boy 15 years ago, and the UNC opposed it, and then Gary Griffith, and all this kind of damn nonsense and thing. Well, let me tell you something. You see now, where they throw Lisa Agard under the bus?
Yes.
All right, and I will tell you why I'm saying this. Barry Padarat, MP for Princess Town, over a motion in the parliament for MP, the Minister of Public Utilities.
Martin Gonzalez.
Marva Gonzalez.
Marva, yes, of course. Some say that as well.
To be brought before the Privileges Committee for lying to the population on the cyber crime situation.
Yes.
And he came out in the parliament and said that he relied on the information that was submitted to him by Lisa Agard, which is not true.
Yeah.
And I hope that Lisa Agard will come out and expose it, clear herself, because you was fired And if it is that you want to get a job somewhere, your character has been destroyed by the PNM government by removing you unceremoniously, and now you're hearing that they are saying that you lied the information you provided to the minister.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Tonopuna. Did he
Uh-huh.
actually say in Parliament that it was Lisa Agard? Because I read the news report this morning. I mentioned it on the ground report this morning as well. But I didn't. They didn't say that Lisa Agard furnished him with the information. So I just want to hear from you if you heard him say that it was Lisa Agard that provided him with the information, or was he talking generally?
Lennox, if it is then it wasn't Lisa Agard, how the hell you fire she? But you're not saying that.
Oh,
You
right,
said
okay.
that
I just want to make
information-
sure that whether he said the name or not. All right, go ahead.
No, but what he said is that was the information
Provided to him, yes. I read that, yes, okay.
Right? But therefore, if it is then that was the information, one would expect that the persons who provided you with the information, you would have dealt with them or dismissed them or not. But
Yes.
how come you dismiss Lisa Agard? So
Yeah.
which means that...
I mean, logically, we know that that she is the repercussions of that situation to sanitize them, and of course, they are thrown under the bus. So I agree with your opening salvo, yes.
So definitely what is putting it to them is Lisa Agard because they fired her.
Yes,
for that.
yes, logically, yes.
Just that if it is that you fire her for providing wrong information, then one would have expected that Paria Fuel Company, Newman, George, and all of them would have been fired too.
Yeah.
Because all of them is what you call accumulative manslaughter.
Yeah.
All of it is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about, Lennox, again, I watching on the news tonight,
Yes.
the energy chamber meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and Rowley is beating up his chest and saying, should the dragon deal, gas deal come through, and we still big players in the gas industry, and whatnot. Rowley, you have shut down the energy sector of this country because you wouldn't want to investigate the fake oil issue with you and your partner, were you bash or something like that.
Yes, Bash, yes.
But what is even amazing, Lennox, the moderator of the program is Takuri Driver.
Oh,
The head
okay.
of the energy
And he's
chamber.
head of the chamber as well. Yeah.
And let me tell you
Energy
something.
chamber.
These fellas is downright hypocrite because they sit down, Takuri Driver them, and never question the government and Rowley them about what they have been doing to the energy sector. In fact, they supported Rowley and them. That led to the closure of all these plants and them in Port Lisas and whatnot. They never stood up. And I have seen that thing is a whole PNM hoax thing because you can have Takuri Driver, one who's a supporter of the PNM. I had to put it this way. Because you always agree with what Rowley and them do.
Yes.
To be asking questions. This is Robert, like what Robert Amara say. Put somebody who, and according to the gentleman mentioning this, Larry King from CNN, he always say, you ask the right questions and demand the right answers. So therefore, putting Takuri Driver on MD is only a sham. You need people who would have asked pertinent and relevant questions as it relates to the energy sector.
Yes.
And question the PNM, put them in a spot. Don't go like these media people and them going there and asking kid gloves question when you're supposed to hit people in the phone punch.
Of course.
And this is why I say Takuri Driver and all you. In shame, all you should hang all your, not hang all your head in shame, but all you should hang all yourself. Hang all yourself just like the rest of the PNM people. Because here why? The country is in crisis. We ain't guaranteed nothing with that dragon. They are fooling people and whatnot. And Rowley token, should that come into effect and whatnot? And the expectations of it and whatnot and whatnot. Let me tell this country something. People, be prepared to hit the street. I'm telling you, because they're not. It is showing no sign of recovery. And the line of the government. And one of the key factors we have to look at, a key indicator, is the removal of the president of the industrial court, Deborah Thomas Felix, because she's one who supports labor. And the government has put aside $45 million in the budget, they say, because they expect that a lot of matters will be brought, the government will be sued and taken before the court and whatnot. So they remove her. Because you see right now, look what's going on, Lennox. The Integrity Commission, the new man, they hired there now.
Yeah,
You read what he said?
yeah.
The matter that is before the Integrity Commission by what he called him, Rajendra.
Yes,
Prasad or whatever.
his predecessor.
Right. Where for the lack of funding or starving of funding, they have now removed that from the court.
Yeah, in 12 days, in less than, I think he went in on the 12th, I believe, and it was removed by the 16th.
So it just goes to show you that these fellas are them, and you know, all of them is PNM appointees. Oh, the PNM will put the people there to do their dirty work. That's why when you hear I call on the head of the Integrity Commission, what's up, Rajendra Prasad, and the head of the procurement regulator, Munilala, and all that. All this is white collar crime.
Yes.
All this.
No, I suspect, and I have concluded a long time ago, you are speaking out of an abundance of caution, and that is supported by experience and the information that is in the public space. So I have always been in your corner in terms of your skepticism, but of course some of the adjectives I think was the concern.
But let us look again. Why I'm saying this? You just watch all the meetings. I just watch all of them. The Joint Select Committee on VEMCOT and all these different state entities.
Yes.
And none of them could give you a proper reasoning for why they cannot have audited financial reports. They cannot give you proper accounting, and for all the malaise and whatnot within these institutions. And people just come in and talk like if it's a talk shop, but nothing to enforce that these people must be held accountable, if possible, made jail, because squandering of taxpayers' money.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. There must be a legislative component with teeth to enforce, and enforcement mean a penalty that will deter people from, of course, engaging in callous, reckless, and of course, frivolous investment of the public purse or resources. Yeah.
I listen to Garcia and the fellas and when we don't have the information, I know Garcia and we could provide it for you. What the hell you come there to a public account committee meeting where you will be questioned and you want to tell me you don't have information readily available?
Yeah.
And you have all your technocrats on them around you?
Yes.
Then let me tell you something, brother. These people should be in jail. And when I hear the head of the American Chamber of Commerce talking about white collar crime, brother, hear what I mean. The people from within your section, the Chamber of Commerce, the business sector, all of them who are involved in fraudulent activities and corruption, they should be the ones facing it. Not only the little black boy and the one who pull in a gun and committing crime. They are responsible for the state of the economy where it is today, and they get information as David Rhodes said.
The mash up the place.
Get information to mash
That's
up
the place. All right, thank you very much. Of course, we have some other people on the line, but thank you. Yes. Thank you very much, of course, for that intervention. Because, I mean, as I said earlier, there's not as blind as he or she who refuses to see. And there are those who, of course, in spite of the overwhelming, pellucid, and, of course, very poignant and nestled in statistical and empirical data, will, of course, engage in what is called logic that clearly is not consistent with reality or the corollary that one would have expect having regarded to the information before you. What do I mean? What do I mean? I simply mean that the reality is that Rowley went up to Laverton and said to the people there, first and foremost, that we know of the government. We know of the government, and at a Emancipation Day exercise, he told the people that he's disappointed with the Africans, totally oblivious to the fact that his party and he is in government, and they have been in government for more than one can care to remember. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Good night to you.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on what Tunapuna was speaking about when he was talking about state enterprises and the judiciary.
I speak come a little closer to your phone because I want to make sure I get every syllable.
Okay. All right.
Yes, go ahead.
I love listening. You're always entertaining. And by the way, I want to tell you a secret. I really
Thank
think
you.
you're doing an I think you're doing an awesome job on the ground report. I
Thank you
really
very
do.
much. Thank you very much.
But this morning, what's his name? Mikey had me laughing when he said he didn't know if it was the ground report or a horror show. And I
Oh yes,
was
yes.
like,
When 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 my mic started, of course, to get Android.
yeah. But also sometimes I think it is a horror show with the kind of news we talk about. You know, like, it's a
Well,
frightening show.
I hope under normal conditions, one's mind doesn't idle in that direction. But go ahead.
Right. All right. So this is yeah. Let me bring in Prakash Ramadar, and let's bring in the pariah divers. See,
Yes.
what Tunapuna was alluding to was that a lot of these people who are appointed by the party, by the PNM or by the administration, okay, when they're appointed to these state enterprises to serve on board, to serve as CEO, and to even serve as a director, where they're getting a fat contract, they're getting maybe $100,000 a month, $200,000 a month. That's how much they get in the energy sector. Yeah?
Yes.
When they get these kinds of well, yeah, when they get these kinds of salaries, it's comparable to a U.S. job in the energy sector. But when they get these jobs, they assume a role of a private corporation. They don't treat the corporation like a state enterprise. And you see it across the board when you go into these state enterprises for service, and it is a state run enterprise that's funded by you. You would think that you would get the service and it's open to you. But when you go in there and the way you're treated, it's almost like it's a private entity. And when you have individuals who behave and act in control of a private entity where they make decisions, they should be held liable, personally liable. But what they're doing in this situation is they hide behind the corporate veil. So what they'll do is they'll hide behind the shield of a corporation and that you can't sue me because hey, it's just a public entity and you can't find me negligence. And most private corporations, they do have in judicial system, they can pierce that corporate veil so they can get you personally liable. So they can't say, well, it's a public entity and you can't sue me. I was doing what the government told me to do. No, you were acting independent. You were acting recklessly. The news showed us that when all these decisions were made at Paria and it unfolded before our eyes, we saw how you waited and you watched and you turned people away when immediately you had access to millions of dollars to hire rescue teams, to bring in some other agencies quickly, and they failed to do that in front of our eyes. We witnessed that. So to me, that was intentional negligence. It was fraudulent. They were covering up their tracks, speaking quietly, and it all came out in the transcript. That's why Judge Lynch said corporate negligence. You could go after them personally, but you have to they're going to say, well, we were acting on behalf of the corporation and we don't own the corporation. The corporation is independent, but the way they were working, it looked like they had more control over the whole entity. So they should be held personally liable and they should be held for criminal negligence because they were colluding and acting collectively. And that is what I wanted to say, because in all of these state enterprises, and it goes even to Miss Agard or whatever. And I listened to her speak, and I wasn't impressed really with her voicemail, to be honest. Somebody who was a CEO
Yes.
speaking like that. And I say to myself, she runs this like it's her own little shop. They all do. And we need to pay attention because they're spending a lot of money. They're spending billions of dollars. And it never helps us. It never it's not lifting any of our standard of living up. If anything, we're treated like insects when we go inside to these entities. And the prime minister, the driver at the helm of this country, we're seeing how he's behaving like a manipulator, like a dictator. And his whole party they just want to be one party country. They don't believe in democracy, and it shows. And so we need a party like the UNC to come forward and question them and push them and say, hey, you can't do this, and dissect the decisions they're making. But it's a real battle because the prime minister is very powerful. He deals with gangs. We've seen that now. He's throwing millions of dollars into a small community. What about all the other communities that have problems with gangs too? They have little gangs in villages. What about us? What about the other community? This is recklessness again. So I just wanted to make that point, and I hope other people agree with me. And I really enjoy listening to you on the ground report, and I like listening to Mr. Tunapuna. He always nails it on the head.
All right,
All
thank you
right,
very much.
Lennox, thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I want to say first and foremost, let us get the responsibility levels clear, distinct, pellucid, and as conspicuous as possible. Let us get that clear. The Westminster system of government that we have inherited presupposes that the people who are going to manage the affairs of the country when and if they get elected based on the constitutional arrangement that is common or is responsible for the relationship that every citizen have to each other, as well as the institutions that would have been identified. Let us get that straight. Inside of that, it also presupposes that when a party is seeking government, not only is there a sacrosanct position, a sacred position, as far as their manifesto is concerned, because that is the document or the series of policies, programs, and initiatives, ideas, etc., one expects they will follow because that is what they campaigned upon, seeking the office of government across the board, whether it's prime minister, whether it's cabinet, etc. But the fact is that that is presupposed. The other area of high levels of responsibility and ethics and standards and values and a keen sense of right and wrong, equity, as well as equitable distribution of the resources and not being biased, and would of course act in the best overall interests of all of the citizens at all times. It's a tall order. It's a tall order, but is accomplishable once you have the checks and balances that are required in order, of course, to have this very complex system running smoothly. But there is the ultimate responsibility of, let's say, the party that is in government and the party that acquired government, and the responsibility of the prime minister in such a circumstance in the context of Trinidad and Tobago is this: that because of the awesome responsibility placed on such a combination of entities, the prime minister, who is responsible for the selecting of the cabinet, and of course the various ministries that will now be created to deliver to the people. Understand, it is government by the people, of the people, and for the people. It is for the people. It's not government by Rowley and the PNM, for PNM and the activists. And at the same time, it is not accomplished by them alone. Rowley cannot say, as he is attempting to generate to the population, that somehow he can arrogate onto this, what I can say, illusion that he and his cabinet found themselves there on their own volition. Some mystery occurred and there was no election, and that is why they are there. That is fundamental, because you see, the ultimate responsibility why a certain amount of laxity, a certain amount of leeway, a certain amount of accepted ability to be as flexible as possible, but within the confines of the law and principles, and of course, the sense of right and wrong, is that ultimately, at the end of 5 years in this case, the party that is in office must be held accountable and must respond to the population if they are to get another year. In other words, another 5 years or another session. The people will ultimately, at the end of 5 years, say and adjudicate on your performance. And so that is why the argument that there must be a certain degree of flexibility, a certain amount of privilege be given to the ruling party to manage its affairs. And at the end of it all, on the other side of the coin, is that if they do badly, one expects, if the system is working, that they will be kicked out of office. So it is clear that Rowley and they must be kicked out of office. The difficulty is here, however, is that whilst in office, they utilize the resources of the country not to deliver to the people in the way that is expected objectively and equitably, but they do so to stay in office. To stay in office. So let us come down to the practical situation in Trinidad and Tobago right now after Thursday. So $100 million was suddenly found. To do what? When we look below the murkiness and the cloud of what I consider to be disingenuous, dishonest, as well as, of course, an attempt, of course, to continue to try to stay in office, one can go from the fact that that money is to, of course, generate campaign financing, to, of course, in a profligate way, bribe those elements that are generating the problem that Rowley and they say that they are looking to solve, even though they have been in office for over 8 years and the problem existed. In other words, how suddenly you are concerned about the African youths and the problems that they have been created, a problem that has been so from ever since. Why the hell you think you were so tenacious in getting no bail legislation? Why you think Rowley and them was concerned with anti-gang legislation? Why you think Rowley and they said at Emancipation Day function that the African community is at the lowest rung of the socio-economic ladder? And of course, why they have not made a pronouncement, because it will be too devastatingly unpalatable for them and their apologists and their sycophants. They will never tell us that the most objective analysis and the determination that they have disappointed and that they have instituted policies and programs that have further deteriorated the plight of the Africans and the African youths is the percentage of the jailed population. Percentage of the jailed population. And of course, one could conclude easily that about 90 to 95% of the population in jail are Africans. Let's go to the lines. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox Smith.
Good night to you as well.
Right. Now I want to talk about this program with this 100 million. They're going and invest in these hotspots with the soldiers, retiree soldiers. You could remember in the earlys when we realized all this gang violence and gun violence and things taking place. I was saying it's part of the plan.
Yes,
it's all
indeed.
part of the plan.
Yes.
Now we look. You see what? You see what they're going to do now?
Yeah.
Give these people in hotspots taxpayers' money. are going to hint you something that they're going to do because he's doing just what they do next door to us, his good friend. So here, one thing I feel they will be doing, they will open soup kitchens and things. And when the day come, the ones who don't have will be able to go there to get a little hot soup or whatever, pail or whatever they cook, right? These is the things that us do. So when they get all these things that they're going to give them, which might include that, that is one of the things, as I tell you, that us do.
No, you're right. It exists right now on George Street, and there was one on Picton Road, at corner Picton Road and the Eastern Main Road, but that was closed down, and it was amalgamated, so everybody goes to George Street. It exists right now. But go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
So it's going to be enhanced, in other words, yeah.
It's going to be enhanced.
Yeah,
That is the word, Lennox. They're going to enhance on it.
Yes.
And they might tell them, come and do a little military training, some exercise, blah, blah, blah. You know? And they'll hamper and thing for the ones who really less fortunate. Give them food, a box of this, box of that, dry goods, right? Well, I see him today. I go into something else now. I see him today in an energy conference. He lap his leg and he sit down like a big czar. Because, you know, they're going to get the heavy crude from next door. So he know the money coming again in a big way. And as I used to be telling you all, they always have money. And you all keep asking, well, where he get the money for this? Where he get the money for that? All we have to do is keep blasting that man, and he going to find and get what he's supposed to get for us. You don't do anything, you don't rush him, Rowley wouldn't do anything. But it's sad to know that these people in these crime hotspots going to get a lot, and the voters who vote for against him wouldn't have anything to get. You will see how much these people going to get. Just wait and see. Another thing I want to talk about is the pariah issue. You could remember too, from beginning day one, when these people die in the pipeline, I said to you all that they have things to hide. You could remember that, Lennox?
Yes. That pipeline exercise in itself was
early o'clock, I let you all know.
That, yes.
And it come to pass till it had to go to an inquiry, commissioner inquiry, right? And all through that, you see in cover up. But you know what I can't take? I will be coming here and I will be hinting. Not here, but more on the ground report. And I used to be hinting. But nobody takes Miss Arima on. Right? Look, this last hour here, for us to know what's going on after we wait long, right? To hear what's going on is still cover up. But I know you will hear all who commit suicide. You will hear some of them run away. You will hear some of them get real sick. They can't, you understand, man?
Yes.
Wait.
Yeah.
It's going to lead to all of that.
Yes.
Right now, the Bamsi quaking.
That's right.
Because the secrets it having them oil producing company, it's not easy. It's not easy when it come out, you know. What in the dark will come to light. Sometimes the innocent does have to pay for the guilty. And as we know, God works in mysterious ways. It's a pity these people had to suffer and die for the citizens of this country to know what it is our government doing to us. It's not nice. And this is why I keep saying we have to get international help. Before I used to be calling out on the UNC to protest. Let's have protests. We have to make a bacchanal excitement, do something, but they ain't doing it. The other night, the caller from outside called my name. I just tell these people, be careful when they're calling my name, know how to talk, right? You keep saying that I asking for the UNC to come out. But I stop because they ain't coming out no way. These people not coming out, they're sleeping, right? So don't call my name and say I calling for them to come out. I done that. Right now I calling still for them to ask for international help because they cannot handle this man. This man is a gangster man. We seeing that now. He have a gang man who helping him run this country and just tell him what to do. When you have something that you could see in the day, don't look for it in the night. It have who have the big mouth bullying before they get together. They keep saying get together and ask the UNC to ask for international help so that the Organization of Americas will tell this man he have to have elections free and fair with observers. No, they ain't doing that. They was only looking to just me. Now look at where we reach. Is that we have to look at now? And still, they're not talking because I don't know why. I don't know why. But it have who will say why. And I will leave it there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It cannot be denied that this is a complex situation. It cannot also be denied that people have their own either notions or their information or the facts about what is in fact taking place within the bosom, the pernicious and what I consider to be toxic bosom of the present government. With the UNC, you could literally, of course, see what is happening because people will talk out. And to me, that is the best form of democracy. That is democracy in motion. Rowley and they have set up the population under their sycophants, under their apologists, to remain complacent, don't say anything.
Memories of what the PLM represented to the people of Trinidad and Tobago with the fullest support.
Let me just go back to where we were. I don't want to get that in yet. Let us go back to where we were before. And let me just put back what was there before. I had that prepared, of course, and I pressed the wrong knob. But the fact of the matter is that we have a situation where not only must we be cognizant and avoid being complacent and throwing a blind eye, because as I said earlier, there's none as blind as he or she who refuses to see even though they have 20/20 vision. And the issue, of course, must be nestled. Whilst there may be new dimensions, but certainly we have seen a pattern. And it is also said that he or she who does the same thing over and over and expects a different result are either mad or they are damn fools. But doing the same thing over and over includes an observation, an objective, if possible, observation to draw a conclusion. Let me go straight to the line again. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox, pleasant good night to you and everybody on the live.
Yes, indeed.
I ain't staying long at all. I just want to find out something from you. I could call you after the program.
After the program, yes. After the program, I was about to tell you. After the program, yes. On that matter. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So there are several observers in that situation. Let me be practical here. The PNM, of course, unleashing pain, agony, misinformation, disinformation, poor policies, choices, and of course the people's circumstances are deteriorating. They're getting more poor than ever before, in spite of Rowley and they talk that people getting rich and their optimism that they project onto the population that somehow all the gas money, etc., will represent, of course, an improvement in circumstances and so on. But every time it manifests, the opposite is the case. It is not so. Let's go straight to the line. All right, we lost that one. But the fact of the matter is that there are several categories of observers. One, the people who are actually projecting the misinformation, holding office, that's Rowley and they. There are those, of course, who are the sycophants and so on, who are to, of course, amplify that and make it more than what Rowley and them has made it out to be. And then there are those who are in the situation itself, in the situation, experiencing the pain, agony, the unleashing of violence in the society, schools, home, and defense, etc. Let's go straight, of course, to the lines again. That's how it is. That's when you are getting popular. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
A pleasant good night to you, Mr. Lennox, and all your listeners
good night to you
on the World Wide Web and all the slave catchers. A pleasant good night to them. Mr. Lennox, the MILO, who led by you was the head of,
yes,
were working very hard towards providing the goods and service and a better day for the vulnerable and those who need it. Now, this program, when he was talking, it started off when the local election was in Maloney, and they come and they get to realize the popular line is firearms for all right-thinking citizens. He tried to hit back. Then he come and his president went to Tobago and said they must talk with together to fight a common cause. Then he dilly-dally right around for 4 months with no solution or anything tangible for talks. When our political leader, Ms. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, decided to take it up on a mantle to go to the tongues meeting and have one, all of a sudden Thursday he have a public meeting, a PNM public meeting, and all the hoodwink and talk and what they do and they say, in the end of it, you despair the Jamaican Prime Minister and where he put on his foot. He tried to play that he put it on his foot and swallow the spit at the same time. But how the money going to disperse? In what way? What tangible way? And where it coming from? And how it going to disperse? You have the army with people on the payroll. You have the police. You have the programs where the TTPS had the programs through the youth group in all these areas already. But you just come out just to talk, to change the narrative. And me and you had spoken about this same attitude that you see the machinery and they will start to get financing to buy the votes. So they're well ahead in putting their machinery and fuel money in place. So all means necessary. So while he hoodwinking and putting one side and diversion, because everybody, the chamber, the most set of powerful chambers came out and hit him some belt, literally, that, hey, pull up on your socks. So he had no way else to come and say he put that program in place. And he having an energy conference again. What is the purpose of this energy conference? When you say that you are not dealing with Guyana, and you don't recognize Guyana in the energy sector, but you are fighting tooth and nail for Shell to bring your own gas from your own border to market. And you're hoping that the Venezuelan democracy recognize the little island up on the southern side, to see that they will recognize the deal you signing today. But we know where that will head. And then when they come back to our own country, we have the gas, which is producing here right now in different fields. You have no money. You mash up everything in the name of dragon. And and they can't pay the
Don't forget,
workers.
we have other people trying to get in there, so we have to be these days a bit a little more, concise with our presentations. Hello. Sorry about that. Of course, call back. I'm sure I didn't get the impression that he had wound up or conclude. So so of course, the line is open at this point in time. But just want to tell the caller, just all callers, in fact, that if you can, of course, be as compendious as succinct as possible, put your presentation in a nutshell, so we leave room for me as well to, of course, make my commentary, as well as, of course, others to call in. That being as it may, I'm sure, caller, you will call in. You'll call back to conclude what you were saying, because I got the impression that you weren't finished, but something probably went wrong because somebody was trying to get in, or somebody's was trying to get in. That being as it may, I was making the point that you had to be a fool to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. And of course, in my profession, there is something called modus operandi, the pattern of behavior. Latin expression, modus operandi, the pattern of behavior. And the pattern of behavior with this government is clear in terms of where that 100 million will go. We have all the ingredients. Similar. There are others, but I want to give you a more recent ones, because the thing you remember first is the one that you studied last. So therefore, when patriotic oil, when I say patriotic oil company, but it's really the OWTU's entity for the purchase of the oil refinery, and the government turned down their proposal, even though they were with a lot of fanfare, and of course the usual political currency that it brought with it, according to them, because they are making, of course, labor people, entrepreneurs and businessmen. All of that was said. But closer and closer to the 2020 elections, and the fact that they did not give them it, they did not conclude that transaction up until before the election. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox. Val St. Colin here.
How are you?
I agree with Mr. Rima, right?
Yes.
I agree. But I want to ask Mr. Rima, how much more the opposition leader will do? She having Monday night forum, she having crime time talk. How much she could do? How much she could do? I agree with Mr. Rima, but we as the people have to come out to support the woman. The woman having the Monday night forum, she having crime talk meeting, but what do I want the woman to do again? Put your head on the highway? No, I mean, come on, we need to support the woman. So, Miss Rima, I agree with you, but we have to stop talking and come out. Right? I mean, the woman is doing her part. I am not saying no. And I'm not disagreeing about Miss Rima contribution. But what all you want the woman to do again? She going in parliament, she going on the road, she going on platform. We have to support the woman. Right? So good night.
Yes, indeed. Before I go back to my pattern of behavior, modus operandi, what I consider to be expose or analysis, I want to agree with the last caller, because, of course, this thing is multifaceted, multidimensional, and the enemy, the government, is not relenting and is not devoid of inventing issues and situations to not only capture the narrative, but to frustrate. And we must be similar. And it requires, of course, everybody operating with full throttle to treat with this problem. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night,
Good night.
Lennox
Welcome.
Smith.
Good night.
Good night, Lennox Smith.
Good night to you.
I look to and listen and take clean your good program there. I like
Thank
how you
you.
fight if you pay in Avanti in his first credit to wake up and not take that mama guy with that money. They just short after 9 years, they just find money just so you can afford for again or what? Continue to
Yes.
run the good work, man. I know tomorrow you're on the ground report.
Yes, yes, man. Thank you very much. Of course, I will analyze the utilization of the 100 million, because you see, I want to nestle the argument in the fact that we have been there before, and you must be circumspect, you must be meticulous, you must be observant, and then you will know where they're going with that. So I was quickly, let me just conclude that all who have resources and influence, no matter how small it is, within the community, within the family and so on, you must play your part to get rid of PNM and Rowley by simply talking to your family. You're making your position clear, and of course contributing to the ultimate liberalization and the freedom and the emancipation of Trinidad and Tobago and the promotion of our democracy. Let me say that, and it cannot be overemphasized. To rely on the opposition or the oppositions for one thing, they are doing. It's not to say that they are not doing. We are seeing it every day. Whether they embarrass the government by having their own crime talks, or whether they go on the platform and release, of course, information that includes, of course, the courts and what they are prepared to do if the government not just fails, but if they continue with their recalcitrance and their belligerence and their weaponization against the people, they are prepared to go to court. That in itself is crucial and important. Why? Because none of us could do it on our own. You know what it is to take people to the Privy Council and be successful? Come on. So all of us, we are in this melting pot together. Let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night.
Good night, Lennox. How you going, boy?
A pleasant good night, but you have to be as short as possible because we have a lot of callers. Yes.
How you going?
I'm all right. Getting waxing warm, and of course making sure that it will be a long, hot 12 months for 2024 for the PNM and Rowley.
I see the Prime Minister was in an energy meeting telling people not to be slothful. You could believe that coming out of that man's mouth? Being slothful. You hear what was coming out of your mouth on Thursday night?
Yeah. I have a copy of it. I will be playing some of it in due course.
Disrespectful, wajang behavior coming out of that man's mouth. Buffing up PMC like it's a little school children in kindergarten, no kind of thing. That man is out of control.
Said he's a total lunatic. He's in the wrong house in St. Anne's. They should switch residency. The St. Anne's patients in the hospital should go to the diplomatic center, and he utilize the whole of the St. Anne's mental asylum. He alone.
Whom the gods want to destroy, they first drive mad, and he will be mad before the end of this year. How about that?
Well said. He has gone mad. He has just gone mad. I mean, he has demonstrated senility. He has demonstrated bipolarism. He has demonstrated his schizophrenic disposition and all of that, because of this, the same man will go on the United Nations podium and talk all kind of lies. But of course, he is there. And then he'll come back to Trinidad and even give you more lies, even about the United Nations, because he came back to us some time ago and told us that, of course, not Donald Trump, but of course, the man who invented, of course, Microsoft, and say that their foundation, that foundation given Trinidad and Tobago a certain sum of money, and afterwards it was discovered, shame as he was, he write and say that it was a lie, that nobody offered Trinidad and Tobago anything, and that somebody tried to set him up because they was asking for money from Trinidad instead. But more significantly, he even embellished it by saying that the United Nations Secretary General call him to inform him about that with that foundation founded by the founder of Microsoft. Let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Welcome.
Hello, Knox.
Yes.
Yeah, Knox. I call him back again.
Yeah.
Now, I'd be listening to Miss Arima talk, where she'd be saying that Kamala had to get international help.
Yeah.
And I really and truly want to agree with her. Remember last year I was telling you and your listening audience, if you only want to understand what Keith Rowley patterning from Venezuela, all you need to watch this TV series called Jack Ryan, season 2. If all you watch that TV series, all you go understand what Miss Arima is telling all you. Because Rowley does be taking plane and going all over the place and making deal internationally. So Kamala had to do the same thing. I advise you, please watch Jack Ryan season 2 and all you go understand what Miss Arima telling all. Kamala need international help to fight Rowley, because Rowley going and doing deals outside too, not really here so much. That's why he'll be taking plane and going all over the place. Watch season 2, Jack Ryan, and all you go understand what Miss Arima telling all. Locked on and listening.
Again, people, be circumspect and be observant, na man. Because I made the point already. It is clear that has been taken into the worksheet and the effort to displace Rowley and they. All right, let us face the facts. Was it not the opposition that talked about and wrote to the opposition in Australia about those 2 boats? Wasn't it the opposition that wrote, of course, to the United States, whether in the embassy here or the United States State Department, and no doubt the letter would have reached the then president? Wasn't it the opposition that of course, engaged the OAS? So much so that on numerous occasions, Rowley called the opposition leader a betrayer because he couldn't get his way, because they went where he said he was attempting to make impact on behalf of himself, but pretending, of course, to be representing Trinidad and Tobago. You have to be broad. And if that is an issue, fine. But at the end of the day, nothing is stopping any one of us from doing the same. I have written to the International Criminal Court about Rowley and, of course, his geronticide agenda, when, of course, he exposed, beline, of course, the efficaciousness of his policies as far as the COVID is concerned. So it is not that, and I am satisfied that they are engaged and they are engaging. They can't tell us, but our common sense from what we have seen so far will tell us that. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, it's Mr. Arima again.
Yeah.
Lennox Smith.
Hey.
Let me tell you something. I heard you mention they're going to the courts. They went to the courts. They went to the local courts with this issue with the that we had here with the elections, the local elections. And what did the court do? What did the local courts do when they appealed the matter?
Listen carefully.
Remind me, please.
Listen carefully.
Although I know.
They can't go beyond the local courts when coming to election matters, election petitions, cannot go beyond. And that is why the courts would have had their way locally. But with respect, of course, to the elections, the postponing of the elections in the parliament, they were able, of course, to get to the international court, and the international court gave justice.
This is where we had to go.
Right,
this is where we had to go. And we went international to the Privy Council, and who do it? I said, who do it? Activists, not even them are activists by the name of Mr. Bal Gobin.
It's true, them, of course.
It's he who had to do that. Day, he's an activist. He's
Oh,
not
Lord.
an MP. He's just an
No.
activist in the UNC. And who he was, a normal citizen who did something. Look, you
doesn't
is a
matter.
citizen here who want to do something. Why they're not getting up on that issue is an international mafia, is a regional mafia with this man. Then we can't sit down on that. This thing is not no soft thing. I talking this thing and I telling y'all what had to be named Gabal Gobin or what? I had to name Bal Gobin. Right? This thing, we're in a terrible situation. And it is only a set of powder puffin. Look here now, man. I real vex, you know. Because it didn't have no way out. No way out. All you could talk from now till the next 5 years, that man ain't bringing no international observer. Nobody can tell he that's inside of here.
I betting you, but you ain't
Bet
take
me.
up
You know how much bet I wanted the troll you to bet me? A whole $1,000 I was throwing on a bet with this next one they have, this dangerous one, what they call him? Roger. And none of they want to bet me. Bet. You bet.
I will bet based on my own analysis. Nobody's gonna analyze for me. So I'm saying that
no, we are going to nothing. What you want to bet, I go into the bet with you.
He must bring international observers in the next elections. Mark my words. Right?
By just talking, so Rowley don't listen to nobody. It's time all you understand that saying that every night and talking when the day come. Rowley ain't listening to nobody.
That's it? All right, okay. Let us be practical here once again. With respect to elections matters, pleasant good night. A pleasant good night. You call back?
Hello?
Yeah, you call back?
Okay, Lennox, that's it.
Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah. With respect to, let us be clear here. Knowledge is freedom. Knowledge is power. With respect to local elections, petition, consequential of elections, you can't go further than the appeal court in Trinidad. That is how the system is. That is the law. All right. So they have not been able to be successful at the courts with respect to the 2015 election and the 2020 election. In fact, they didn't go to court because the 2015 was still outstanding in terms of having, of course, to bill up a cost. But with respect, of course, to the illegality and the constitutional for interpretation that the highest court for Trinidad and Tobago will be able, of course, to adjudicate upon the Privy Council. They went there and they were successful. They went, of course, to the OAS and they made their case there. They made their case to the United States. They made their case to the United Nations. They make their case with respect, of course, to the refugee situation. In fact, they made their case to the opposition in Venezuela and all. Let's not waste time. And I say so because the evidence is clear. Rowley was upset and concerned and said that they even went to the Attorney General of Australia with respect to those boats. The opposition. No. Let us be practical and apply our reasoning. Balgobin could go to the Privy Council by himself. Who you think was behind that? Come on. But you need to make certain that you do not build into the argument too much politics. Understand that? Because it will be easy for Rowley and them to say, let's assume Kamala take up the responsibility and say she taking the matter to court personally and that she is going, of course, to the Privy Council. Are you not seeing that every day Rowley is on the platform? That is fodder for Rowley. He's going to be saying that, listen, my political opponent, there she is, and try to try to trap and capture the narrative. So what you do, I say beautiful strategy by the opposition. You give an ordinary person all the resources. He can't pay Alan Ramlogan. You have to be smart. So what you do, you give it to an ordinary person, and Rowley had no choice. He can't mention Kamala and them. He can't mention anybody else except, of course, Alan Ramlogan, who he is fearful of mentioning now because of the revelation consequential of the Vincent Nelson matter, and the fact that the ass is grass right now, and it is, of course, ticking like a time bomb, if not already explode like, of course, a blasted hand grenade. Understand that. That is the process. So it is not right to say, I hold no brief for the opposition, but it cannot be said, having regard to what Rowley has been concerned about and the international wrongs that the UNC is making, and where it is strategic as far as the court is concerned, they then put their proxy. That's what Balgomin is, a proxy, representing, of course, the cause. In other words, if you want to know the beneficiary of a particular conduct or act in politics, you simply have to identify, when a situation pops up, who to benefit most. When Balgomin moves, as he has been making the wrongs in so many actions, who benefits? Who benefits? And who loses? Well, let me say categorically, the opposition benefits, UNC and all their cohorts, and the PNM and Rowley loses. Loses. And in those circumstances, the PNM is unable to get traction, because one of the things that was supposed to be the outcome of Thursday's exercise was to, of course, capture the narrative, capture the attention of the population. And the opposition has been so skillful, recognizing the animal and the beast that Rowley and they are, political and otherwise, because they are total and absolute criminals, and they will do anything to stay in government. They have been strategically and gingerly and meticulously and poignantly eating away at the Achilles tendon of Rowley, so much so that he has gone mad. He started to cuss. Understand what is happening here. And let me conclude this aspect of it in terms of the increased role of the opposition and the criticisms. I say no, it is a misplaced criticism if you are not aware of these factors. But let me tell you this. Rowley's tenacity is not unique in terms of staying in government. No march by Rowley while he was in opposition could have made Kamala Prasad Bissessa call election early in 2025, earlier. I mean, sorry, in 2015. You know what I say? I say no mount a march of Rowley. Rishmi, Section 34, the emails. Kamala Prasad Bissessa went right down until the end. So it is expected that that is an option, and if you have someone with that level of tenacity, that will happen. You could be as impatient as you want. But what I know for sure, as in the case of Kamala, the 2015 election had to be called. Just as how we are 1 year closer to the inevitability of 2025, it must be called. He could jump high, he could jump low. But nobody could force whether you march, because you couldn't march more when Rowley felt that his tail was up, to use, of course, a cricketing expression. He felt he was on the ascendancy. And he said it in non-certain terms. It was the beginning of the end of the Kamala Prasad Bissessa, and this march today is the first of many more. Understand that? So those are the issues that I would want to be able to ventilate, but analytically. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Hello.
Good night. Welcome.
I hope you listen to yourself.
Yes, of
I
course
hope
I
you
always
listen
do.
good to what you say. That
Yes.
no match that Rowley had when he was in opposition could I
Yes.
get Miss Bissessa to hold elections before time.
That's right.
You know you say that?
That's right.
Well, I want to tell you something. I know she ain't afraid he at all. She ain't afraid he
what's
at
the
all,
point?
at
What's
all.
the point? Well, we back
But
to
you see who
even
it
keel.
having, you see who it have inside of there with she? It's them who holding she back from doing things what I talking about. Kamala ain't afraid he.
Well,
It's
so
them who
what's the
afraid
argument?
him.
That's how you were
Watch me.
talking before.
Watch me. Watch me.
Yeah, go ahead.
She ain't doing it because I know she ain't afraid. That is why I keep talking. It's them who I'm bugging she inside of there. When the woman Delcy Rodriguez came in here and was reporting him for how this criminal woman come in here, Anna Ram Logan.
No, you're talking my way,
No,
man. You're
it's
now
Mulilal,
talking. You're now
sorry.
talking, man.
It's
No.
Mulilal. Well,
That's
that's
right.
what you're talking about too. You're talking
You
about
you
that
said
when they make
are
that
not
report.
going international. They are they
He
are
wasn't
forward
pleased
with the
about
handbrake
it.
up. And I'm saying
He
that is
wasn't
not
pleased
so.
about it. Remember that part?
It doesn't
He
matter.
can't
The
handle
fact is
that.
that they engage. They engage.
Watch me.
They
Watch
engage.
me.
Yeah.
Give me a chance. I say Mulilal. I'm not saying Ram Logan, but it's Mulilal. And when Mulilal do that, it was like salt and pepper back for him. He freed that organization. And when he started to get on and the sycophants, what happened? They pat down. They pat down. I
No, you
done
shifted the
talk.
goal. All right, okay. You shifted the goalpost, man. You started out by saying that never happened. Now you're saying that it happened, and it like sort of, and it doesn't matter whether it is Mulilal or Kamala. It's the opposition, and he is an intrinsic part of the opposition. So let us get our position clear. It is not safe and right to say that they have not been engaged internationally to impact on this fella, because one thing I agree with anybody, including the last caller, that there is a need for international attention. I have been saying that, and many of the disclosures that I've been making recently on this program demonstrates that my commitment not only is nestled in personal intervention, but in recognition that the opposition recognizes that too. And therefore they have been making their position. And it is nice to know that you cannot ask of the opposition to try to force Rowley into making an early decision to call elections, when in fact that is an option, more so with a fellow who, of course, is desperate, is desperate for not only relevance, not only desperate for relevance, but also he is a power monger, and therefore will never. Kamala Persad-Bissessa in 2015 might have given in, but she went down the line only to show he is clear, and she did it for the right purposes, to show him that all of the evil, because she alone would have known, all the rest of us, including me, would have been in doubt because it was fresh in our minds. And Rowley went into the parliament. Nobody would have thought that a big man, so with such a criminal-minded nature, and demonstrating at the time that he was a no-nonsense man, that he went against his own boss, Manning, and that, of course, he was up and down the country talking about moral and ethical, and, of course, the people who cannot, of course, and refuse to, of course, talk to their population, they must be seen as not only dictators and irrelevant, and must be expelled. And that expulsion must be immediate, nestled in, of course, in the principle of democracy. That's what he was telling us. So I had my doubt, and if I didn't know what I know of him, because I had done the research as well, and it was effortlessly the program that we had, where TTT is now, government station, it was Eversley. Yeah, the same Eversley that seemed to be fancy with them now. Said that Rowley's a blasted rapist. Of course, I put in pedophile because if you're dealing with children and impregnated children, you have to be a pedophile too. So that is normal. But he was saying he was a blasted rapist. He started that. And because I knew that and examined the evidence, why I was not swayed by his shenanigans and his attempt, of course, to try to hoodwink the population. And he was successful by 2015. And today he's still in office simply because, not that people don't know he is evil, wicked, but he's attempting, of course, to engage in what is called autocoup, utilizing the resources of the country to stay in office by bribing. But Tobago has resisted, and Trinidad will ultimately. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox. I want to say good night to everybody live, everybody in the chat, everybody regional and internationally.
Yes,
short
indeed.
and sweet and quick, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
Everybody talking about going on the streets to protest to see if Rowley will call early election. He's not going to call no early election. But
we know that.
I see more fight on a chat, on a live, than I see the fight out on the streets. So continue fighting online. All right, have a good night, Mr. Lennox.
Yeah, yes, my friend. Yes, my friend. We're talking about, we know. So do not come and shift the goalposts. Let us be sincere with each other. If one started on a position that there was not, if you could tell me it is insufficient, but don't tell me that they have not been looking at international issues relating to this government. That will be disingenuous. It will be wrong. But because of the amount of time that I've consumed on that matter, because I still have the substantive matter to, of course, to deal with, and the amount of calls that came in tonight, and I say I am very appreciative. Just that, please be a little more compendious. You can make the 3-4 calls, but make sure that they are short. But the fact of the matter is that what the PNM will do with that $100 million is similar to. Let's go straight to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Well, Lennox, is real fight on the chat. And you and I fighting again.
No
Don't let nobody get in we business. We just fight, and we go handle it. Listen, I never say they never approach. They approach when Delcy come in here. But Lennox, that is the past, Lennox. We talking about now. This is a crucial thing when the elections coming in 2020. No, don't try to tie me up, Lennox.
But you had a right to say that. You had a right to say that from the beginning.
No,
so
that's the past. I don't deal with the past too much, you know. But I draw a reference to show you.
Nobody could know. Nobody in your brain. Nobody know that.
Watch me. Don't try to tie me up. Give me a chance to talk. Give me a chance to talk. You talking all the time.
Go ahead. You're shipping the goalpost, man.
No, I ain't shipping no goalpost. You trying to tie me up too. So I draw reference, right? And I show you that when they went there and they report him, he wasn't happy. And from the time Anal Ramlogan did that, you must remember,
you see,
he started to get on.
Dr. Moilal, right? Moilal said that, yes, sir.
Yeah, Moilal, sorry. He started to get on. Yeah. And after that, it's nothing again. Democracy break. All independence institutions, that man dismantle all these things going on. And what? They ain't going back? Look, all now they should be asking the OAS to manage this man.
All right.
This man should be sanctioned for the things he doing inside of here. And they never go back.
You must know,
right?
You must know that I talking so because I'm in a privileged position, right? Where I am. I'm telling you that these things are happening. Let me tell you once and for all. That I could talk
tell
to
me.
gold.
I listening. Tell me.
I said happening. It happening.
And I want to hear that you doing it, you know. I want to hear
I'm saying
it
by
from
them,
the UNC.
By the UNC, yes, it is happening. But they have the proxy, just as
proxy,
etc.
Proxy, you know it have rules inside of the Lennox. Lennox, it have rules inside of the. This is not the Privy Council, Lennox. This is the organization. These people have an organization. We, the people, could have a leader like you as well to represent inside of there. Like how we have this group called the pushback movement. It's not so, Lennox. Lennox, I just watch that, I just study that. It's not so.
It's not so what? It's not so what? Be specific. It's not so what?
It's not no proxy to report to the
I'm
OAS.
not talking about the OAS. I'm talking generally. I said inclusive of those proxies, but where the UNC has access. Like take for instance, you think is Balgobin could have write the Attorney General of Australia on that matter? You think so?
No, you should find the goalpost. We are talking that part with
you're
Australia and the vote and all them things.
International.
No, listen, I focusing on the elections in 2025. And next thing, I never say I want elections called before. From now, we have to keep jamming this PNM leader they called Christopher Rowley through the OAS. So they is the only ones could tell him to bring up surface, Lennox.
No.
We the people could ask how much.
Wrong. You are wrong. Let me tell you flat, you are wrong. Not only them.
Let me hear you. But they are the most powerful.
You have an organization called ECLAC. You have, of course, the organizations that.
And who is the president of ECLAC? Ralph Gonzalez.
No. That is CELAC you're talking about. You see? CELAC.
Okay, right.
Mm-hmm. So, but his term is up anyway just now. But you have ECLAC, you have OAS, you have the Inter-American Development Bank. You also have, of course, the Inter-American Commission for Human Rights. You have, of course, CARICOM. You have as
forget
well.
Forget them.
I can't forget them because Rowley wrote to them. Rowley wrote to them in 2015.
These
Rowley wrote to them in 2015 about Kamala. I mean, forget them.
Watch me. That was the past. We're dealing with them now.
Well, yes, I'm saying that those are the institutions that are available to the current, to the present opposition. Those are the institutions they were available then, they were there then, and they are there now. And the opposition has access to these as they see fit with their own strategy. You have, of course, the United States State Department. You notice, of course, those information relating to high government officials dealing, of course, with human trafficking. Where you think that came from, and the contributors to that, and the inquiries consequential. Where do you think that come from? You're talking about as well the United Nations itself, which has several departments, whether it be UNESCO, whether it be, of course, the Human Rights Bureau, which, of course, is based in Europe. You also have the International Criminal Court.
And I still say in the hemisphere here, the Organization of the Americas is the most powerful for us right now, right here. After that,
America
with all them organizations,
the United States is the head of that.
Exactly, I know that.
Right.
After that,
so when
it's
they
the United Nations. So all the rest don't really come to me. But you see them, we are a member, and it's in the region, in the Western Hemisphere. Continue to talk. I'll leave it at.
Okay, yes, that's your opinion. Because clearly, the fact is that we not only have a difference in opinion, but of course, the OS is just one of several that the opposition and we as a people must, including CARICOM, this government cannot be an island unto itself. Pleasant good night.
Hey, a quick thing again, Mr. Lennox. Lennox.
Go ahead, my friend. I'm enjoying this one. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, the debate is very healthy. You and Mr. Rima. Very healthy. It's good. This will make your show even greater. You see the debate you're getting on with. But Mr. Rima, if you want for us to get help from the US and all of them, I want you to go by the Red House and fly the flag at half-mast. That's the only way they go listen to you. So go in the Red House and pull the flag down at half-mast. And leave it there, and then we go get a response. All right, Mr. Lennox, have a good night.
Yeah, you see, it's more complex than that. You think Rowley and they will allow Kamala and there's no room for opposition in the OS. There's no room for opposition, but the opposition can, of course, express their concern. because, of course, when they go there, they have the OS representative for Trinidad and Tobago. And then, of course, by the internal arrangement, you may become, of course, very close to, if not chair of that institution, that functioning similar to that of CARICOM. So whilst, of course, I understand that the enthusiasm and, of course, the insistence and, of course, the healthy nature of the argument, it must be nestled, of course, in what is possible, what is permissible, and what, of course, cannot be done at the same time. But that being as it may, of course, let me get to before, of course, we have just, oh boy, it's after 10, but I started later, so of course we take a little 10 more minutes, because I needed to deal with Rowley as to what he predicted, something like Patterson, what he predicted of what his administration will be like, even though, of course, he was at the time criticizing another administration. But before that, let me tell you where that 100 million will go. But first, let me just tell you the pattern of behavior that 100 million represents. It represents, of course, when the PNM lured, encourage, hoodwink, they dangled. For them, of course, to gravitate. I'm talking about Roger and, of course, the OWTU and patriotic. And notice, close to elections. That's where I'm coming from. You'll understand? Close to elections. Months before the elections. It was Franklin Khan and others who say, oh gosh, don't dig nothing, man. All you go get it, man. Because we already made the announcement in Parliament. And of course, they gave it all of the, what I consider to be the respect and dignity and optimism that any institution receiving such a statement of encouragement from those who have the power to give it to you. You feel good, and you then become complacent. By that time, two of the 6 months gone, 3 of the 6 months gone, and maybe just about 2 months before, you hear Franklin Khan come out and say, you know, it's a complex matter. It's a complex matter, and therefore it will take us time to, of course, assess your proposal, Mr. Roger. All that time, elections is on the horizon. Understand the pattern of behavior, and you will easily recognize what is happening here with this 100 million. And Bram, they got them, of course, to remain passive. They got them not to act up, because it will humbug the PNM's, of course, chances at the 2020 elections. Notice that. And when they got them to silence, because Roger was so enthused and was caught once again with that, what I consider to be elastic and, of course, acid honey he got. And by the time the election was over and the PNM recognized that, of course, they got away by the skin of the teeth. That is to say, they went in with 22 seats and came out with 22 seats. By the time that they form a cabinet, they were telling Roger and them, listen, hold your tail, go your way. We accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. So what are the ingredients? 1, big promise. 2, endless money to be, of course, dispersed are coming. And 3, election call. And close to election, you start a Lego. And after the election, everything dry up. Everything dry up. And don't tell me you don't know what I'm talking about, or you don't understand what I'm saying, because Tobago experienced that. The Lego about a third of the budget of that particular year in Tobago. And on that occasion, they got a taste of their own pernicious, an attempt, of course, to hoodwink and deceive. Tobago said, no, I am not going to be lured, like, of course, Roger and, of course, Patriotic, those asses. Yes. And Tobago said, no. And Rowley, to make certain that he achieves his objective in terms of the proximity of the elections, to all of those goodies that he, of course, unleashed on Tobago, he still went and used his tenuous majority to add 3 seats because he want to make sure, in other words, he want to kill our ants with a sledgehammer. It's a sledgehammer he lego there. Understand that? And Tobagonians resisted. And at the end of it all, it didn't finish there. When they lost 14-1, only the ground report and Andy, Mikey, and myself was saying, it's licks like peas. The rest of the country was saying, listen, and there's no gainsaying. But when you are in it, when you are an intrinsic part of the information dissemination and the attitudinal change and the transformation that is required, you know. And therefore, why it's all the pollsters, whether they're from North America or they're from Canada or they're from Trinidad, and they at the end of that election, they hang themselves in shame. In fact, I want to see they raise up the head in the next elections and make any blasted predictions of the bias kind that they did, because they were saying it was a close finish, when in fact we were saying that, of course, 15 all seats were supposed to go to the Watson Duke-led PDP. Watson Duke-led PDP. But I want to show you how dangerous the PNM is. And so they went on, like how they did in the last elections for local government, and say, we still control the central government, we still control the local government, we still in office, and we will determine, and further, of course, try to either Lego to get, or try to punish those who went against us. Well, Tobago got it, because all of the contracts that remained that were incomplete started and or proposed by Unicat in Trinidad. They take back all. They take back all when Farley became, of course, the chief. You believe if the PNM had won, those contracts would have come back here? They would have taken it back? Come on. You didn't with some evil people. But the point is, I want to show you the pattern. And the pattern is here again. In elections is next year. So Rowley just capitalized on a situation where it is so damn overwhelming that he has 3 consecutive records of increasingly higher than any other time murders within one regime, within one administration. Manning had, of course, the first and second between 2008 and 2009, 537 and 507 thereabout. But Rowley had 3 and counting. But clearly, knowing full well that elections is coming up, he let go 100 million. But let me tell you where that money going. Apart from, of course, apart from slush funds to, of course, get ready for the election campaign, money for that. You see, it is clear, your common sense will tell you that the army does not have the infrastructure to spend that kind of money. And even if they don't, to make it up will take months, closer and closer to the elections next. Understand that? It is not like, I never put it this way, that money will be spent in URP, CPEP, augmenting these institutions, giving them more money, because remember, they were already been budgeted for. So they have to find a way to get extra outside of budget monies for these institutions, because they have already the infrastructure. And don't tell me I know what I'm talking about, because I've been there, done that, and understand what is happening. Tigers cannot change their stripes, nor leopards their spots. So going into CPEP, you're going to see an increase in CPEP gangs all over the place. You're going to see the sudden visibility. Right now, it's only ghosts, but you're going to see sudden visibility of URP. And if there are any soldiers at all to do anything, it might just be, of course, soldiering, policing, and talking. Of course, all of the groups that will suddenly emerge with a PNM connection, you will see them having, of course, including those gangsters and others, you will see them having, of course, football tournaments. Usually it's football and basketball because they seem not to be into cricket. But cricket may just be an offshoot, or should I say, by the way. Basketball, football, you'll see a plethora of that. That is what the intention is. Waste time with that. And all of the community centers that you see them build, where, of course, to contribute, of course, to the construction of Balize House. You don't need you don't need community centers. You don't need, of course, libraries in this time. If you say you're constructing health centers, but health centers attract too much scrutiny. So they shift the resources of the country and to finish Balize House and, of course, their stockpile of money for the elections by engaging. And, of course, and I'm saying here without fear of contradiction. Of fear of contradiction, because I've been there. Noel Garcia, Rowley's bagman, corrupt to the core, dishonest to the hilt, and self-serving, with a conspirators agenda, with the central figure being, of course, that mafia don, Keith Christopher Rowley. You ever say to you, Noel Garcia, you're a conman, and therefore you're a criminal just as Rowley. You ever say, Noel Garcia, you, send your pre-action protocol letter. Send your pre-action protocol letter. You and I know, Noel Garcia. In fact, let me tell them one. In the 2007 general elections campaign, some young men came to me in Laventille. I was the candidate for Laventille East Movement under the UNCA. Remember, I showed you, of course, the only time a mass party got a place in a manifesto was when I was the candidate. Big line, big section of the manifesto for Laventille alone. Well, 11 of them came and said they have this company, but they can't get no work. And I told them, I said, listen, all they really want a contract. Do this. So I let you know, Garcia, that it was a sting operation. And you turned out to be a total failure. You failed the test. Because I told them, all of them there, I told them to go to HGC and get on like how they expect Laventillians to get on, young people, because you're looking for a contract. But listen, tell Noel Garcia, insist that you want to see Noel Garcia, and tell when you get to see them, because they will allow all to see him once all they get on, like how they expect Laventille youths to get on. Yes, I did that. And we agreed that we will come up with a sum that they bribed me to get a HGC contract. And everybody had the number of monies that they gave to me in that fictitious and that hypothetical arrangement. All of them agreed. And they went and so said They got to see Noel Garcia. Noel Garcia was head of the AGC then. And then they told him that Lennox Smith promised them a contract because he had connection there. And he take it like a lamb to the slaughter. But little did I know it would have happened so quick in terms of the ultimate objective achievable and achieved. He tell them come back, I think 2 days after, or 3 days, or the following week. But it couldn't be short. And when they went back, they were made to sign $1 million contract to construct houses in Edinburgh 500. You know what I say? I said that they got a contract after they told Noel Garcia that Lennox Smith take money from them to give them a AGC contract. And when the next day they went back, they were given the documents to sign a contract for 9 point something. So I say $1 million. $1 million. And he told them afterwards about Smith. All they know what to do. So it could mean either kill him or call the police. And when they came back up to Paradise Heights, where my office was, my constituency office was, and my campaign office was, we started to laugh and we laugh and we laugh and we enjoyed it because they got $1 million. What is the lesson in that? That these fellas could have done that all the time before Laventille and these places, because they're doing it for themselves, and they're those who they prefer and rather and close because they believe that somehow their own kind must be hated as Rowley hate his own skin. And I'm sure with that face he had, he would avoid, I'm sure, looking in the mirror, particularly every morning, especially when natural hair will have been grown back, because he can't face up to himself, as we have seen with Wade Mark and Gopi Singh. They wearing the bald head with pride. He afraid that the ugly son of a bitch. Ugly son of a bitch. So like Garcia, no longer waiting for you. Use one of those. You blasted scamp. And there is more. There's more. There is more. Take what I tell you. There's more. And I want to tell those young people, I'm sure that some of them are viewing now. Palmer in Parsley Street. And of course, our good friend in Bola Trace off Upper Parsley Street. Several of them are still around. And we still sit down and laugh. Laugh. Well, things will be coming all your way. Things will be coming all your way. But you know what you have to do. If all you want to continue, of course, to live in that mess, quagmire, without any hope for your children and you all are young fellas, well, of course, you would have been aged like me by now in terms of being older and more mature. You have a job to convince all of them, including, of course, if you have to prevent the senior citizens from going and blasted vote in order, of course, to save your own community and therefore be on the bandwagon of about 27 to 28 seats that the UNC will get at the next election that must be called in 2025. Must be called in 2025. Garcia, you blasted thief. You con man. Utilizing office to avenge. And why you think I was confident that Garcia will respond that way? Because it was Lennox Smith and others in the East Port of Spain that stopped Garcia and Rowley when he was Minister of Housing for bulldozing. According to Rowley, he went up to the George Street Community Center and said that if they have to bulldoze all of East Port of Spain, and you see now that recently Duncan Street, part of Duncan Street was, of course, bulldozed. Now he's Prime Minister. And we resisted, and we brought in Ramesh Maharaj, and he said under the slum act, this place has to be taken over by the government, and why they would pay those in the apartments that don't want to pay. And even though we told them, well, give the people at least $2 million so that each one of the original families will move, if they refuse, it was Kamala Prasad Bissessa who came subsequently and tell them, take $100, and the damn fools and them what loyalty to a bunch of vipers and people who have been, of course, weaponized government against them and utilizing our money willy-nilly, helter-skelter, and keeping them in poverty and as a vote bank. And Eulalie James and others, tell them there is a trick. $100, I wish I had an apartment there. But of course, if the majority didn't take it, it means I would have been in the wilderness anyway. And today, they are facing, of course, the bread that the devil need. And they are in a state of perpetual uncertainty and anxiety. With a fellow like Rowley there, and all they don't know what all they have to do electorally, well, 2025 will come. 2025 will come. And let me see. And this is the difference. What they did not cater for is that people like me will either resurface, or with our tenacity and our commitment to the people and the area and to democracy and the will, of course, of the people must be sensitively responded to. So the hogwash Rowley talking that he suddenly have some kind of compunction and some kind of heart for the African fella, and goes up, of course, in his first just in Laverton and say, we know the government. It's incongruent and is not consistent with someone who loves the people and understand that is another shenanigan. And therefore, you just have to watch at Roger and watch what transpired in Tobago and understand that this is a trick. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. So I'm waiting for Noel Garcia, and I will begin, of course, to call Noel Garcia name every night. You blasted thief. And there are others. There are others. I know. Heinz, you know you will not escape. You know that, right? Heinz, you know you will not escape. You blasted thief too. Yes. I told you about what transpired at First Citizen Bank. You love 100,000 and upwards and don't pay back. You love that. You Heinz. Conmen. And you holier than thou. And you have self-righteous indignation. And you are pointing at others when you are the epitome and the consummate conman, criminal, and as far as I'm concerned, based on their performance, murderers, whether directly, indirectly, or vicariously, murderers in public office. The Bible speaks about them. Evil in high places. People, we have come to the end. We have come to the end. We have much more to talk about. Obviously, this is just a revelation, tip of the iceberg, to tell you the amount of information. So, I don't talk by guess. And I will never say something about somebody that I don't have the proof for. Heinz, when you and I was talking downstairs MLIO building in Mova, on the stack of lumber, where I made you sit down. I ain't give you no chair. I make you sit down there, and you and I were talking one-on-one. What you didn't know, that there was somebody behind the opaque partition, listening. In other words, I have witness. I have witness for what I'm going to say. Heinz, I have witness. You damn ass. Let's of course go to what I wanted to talk about tonight and listen to Rowley finally, as he of course told us sometime in the past when he was in opposition, just as Patterson what his administration will be like. Listen to this.
And Tobago with the fullest support of all of us who identify with this People's National Movement. Memories of what the PNM represented to the people of Trinidad and Tobago with the fullest support of all of us who identify with this People's National Movement. Life goes on very much as it was the day before. Because as the French say, the more it changes, the more it remains the same.
Yes, indeed. Talk, Rowley, talk. Talk, tell us what your plans
Remain
were.
the same.
And what is
Things
happening
remain the
today.
same in the cabinet. And as the sun comes up tomorrow morning, things remain the same in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, you're sure right.
What you would meet is incompetence of the highest order in government. What you would have met is corruption like a cancer growing in the corridors of authority in Trinidad and Tobago and across the nation, encouraged by the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes,
unacceptable criminal conduct, allegations of criminal conduct at the level of the cabinet. And of course, you will see the parliament engaged in the creation of soldier police. Governments acknowledge that governments serve the people, and where the people's interests exist, it calls for quality governance by the people in charge. The Prime Minister is failing the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
That's right.
There's good reason for a Prime Minister to want to fire a minister. But the Prime Minister is afraid to act because the minister could fire the Prime Minister. Some memories of what the PNM represented to the people of Trinidad and Tobago with the fullest support of all of us who identify with this People's National Movement. Life goes on very much as it was the day before. Because as the French say, the more it changes, the more it remains the same. But I simply want to remind that things remain the same in the political arena. As of tonight, things remain the same in the cabinet. And as the sun comes up tomorrow morning, things remain the same in Trinidad and Tobago. What you would meet is incompetence of the highest order in government. What you would have met is corruption like a cancer growing in the corridors of authority in Trinidad and Tobago and across the nation, encouraged by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Unacceptable criminal conduct, allegations of criminal conduct at the level of the cabinet. And of course, you will see the parliament engaged in the creation of soldier police. Governments acknowledge that governments serve the people, and where the people's interests exist, it calls for quality governance by the people in charge. The Prime Minister is failing the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, you,
There's
Prime Minister.
good reason for a Prime Minister to want to fire a minister. But the Prime Minister is afraid to act because the minister could fire the Prime Minister. Some memories of what the PNM represented to...
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. Of course, don't forget that tomorrow morning, the ground report. Andy, Mikey, and myself, of course, Andy a bit under the weather still, but he's taking his sabbatical. We want him, of course, fresh and very vivacious and, of course, enthused to, of course, serve. And, of course, those of you who are so inclined, you may have businesses and so on, please contact, of course, my assistant at the other number, not the 337-6940, but the other number, 3366594, 3366594. If you want to advertise with 104.7, the best radio program in Trinidad and Tobago today. If you want to advertise your business and you want to get your products known to the world, then of course, we are inviting you, of course, to call my assistant, and that will be the first of many. We have real estate initiatives, etc., which we are going to, of course, place on screen so that you'll be able to take your choice. But if you want to advertise as an immediate, call 336-6594, 336-6594 on 104.7. And, of course, we will be pleased to give you the highest degree of not only service, but, of course, I'm sure the leadership of that organization will be only too glad, of course, to serve you and to, of course, have you part and parcel of the 104.7 team as we move inexorably, because they don't get, of course, the ads that the others get because of the reality that we, of course, expose in Trinidad and Tobago on a daily basis. And, of course, we have a duty and responsibility to help each other, to support each other. And advertising on 104.7 will be one of the ways so to do. So, of course, don't forget that tomorrow morning on 104.7, Andy, Mikey, and myself on the ground report. And, of course, tomorrow night, we'll continue with this and others. Yes, people. Yes, people. Edification and education is liberalization. It will set you free. It will emancipate you. It has replaced, of course, the whip and the colonial times of the past, and we look forward to a new dawn, because the neo-colonials and the neo-slave masters, and as one caller would say, the slave catchers, but of a neo-nature, must not be allowed to prevail. Evil cannot prevail over good. People, of course, we have come to the end, and see you tomorrow morning. And, of course, we'll see you tomorrow night as well. I know that people cannot wait. We had a very healthy discourse tonight, and I really love the engagement. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Bye-bye.
On a warm summer's evening, on the train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness, till boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see your outer faces. For a taste of your whiskey, I give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. And then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. He said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold it, know when to fold it, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done." Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, he turned back toward the window, crushed out a cigarette, faded out to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. You got to know when to hold it, know when to fold it, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money while sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, when to run. You never count your money while sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know.